This is lecture 2 about your problem solution essay. And like I said here, please follow it exactly. I have found that if you just open it a new window, right click it, um, it works pretty good. One of the things that I've been having seem to be seeing is that I think that many of you all really aren't paying attention to what I want. Now, it's easy for me to say that, and you to sit on the other side of the computer and say, well, I don't know what you want. If you don't know what I want, and you can't see me right now, but I'm kind of pointing the finger at the dog. If you don't know what I want, then you have to tell me you don't know. Okay? And I had a couple of you all do that. I appreciate the feedback and I appreciate that you took the time to ask the questions. We can do it several different ways. You can call me. We could set up you could email me and we could set up a phone conference. You Sometimes people can come to my office. I know that's not always the best with online classes. Some of you all may be able to go to the writing center and get some help. But whatever, or we could do it. Maybe the best way is on the discussion board, where that other people who may be afraid or don't want to take the time or whatever the reason may need the same information, and you're the one brave enough to broach the subject. They say there aren't any dumb questions, and I'll go against the grain here, and I kind of think they are some dumb questions, but not dumb because you're not intelligent, but maybe you need to read it over one more time. Or maybe you want to look at the syllabus one more time just to take a gander and make sure you didn't overlook something that you can answer your own question. I guess saying dumb isn't the right descriptor there. But don't hesitate. And I'm not going to call you and say, "Oh, that's a dumb question." I'll just answer it, or probably better, I will probably say, "Here's where you can find that information. Here's how you can, what we can do about it." But again, that's not calling you out or anything like that. I would never do that. I've sure asked enough dumb ones in my life. And I have found out something, though, in all my years. You'll never learn if you don't ask. And that's the best, that's the best we can do. So I'm going to go over this lecture. Again, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, let me know. Some way or other, let me know. Send smoke signals. I don't care. Use the signal flags. Okay. First of all, you need to take notes for this essay. What you can't do is just sit down the day before or the 3 or 4 days before, get out your book and your computer and sit down and start typing and start trying to find things to prove your case. You need, yeah, you can do that, but number one, it's hard. And number two, you probably won't get the best grade in the world. So, the first thing you want to do is go through steps 1 through 5 in your notes. Okay? Here's your steps right here. Step, make a claim. Well, let me see if I can highlight this here. You want to make a claim. Your claim is your thesis statement. So, after you answer all these in some notes, get your pencil and paper out, get your outline form, get your computer out, type it up. It doesn't matter. Then the notes and the answers that you have answered in step 1 through 5, you will complete step 7 through 8. Okay? That's all you need to do. Set them aside. Start here. You've got your book. Now you've got some notes. Now you start writing. Uh, you're going to write several rough drafts, hopefully. You're going to write a messy, I forget what my grandson called it, a messy copy, where they just wrote anything they thought they could think of, what they knew about problems or whatever they were writing about. And this was like in fourth and fifth grade. And that's what you probably need to do. Don't forget what you've already learned in school. Just because that you think that it's easier, and please don't tell me that you can do it better the night before. No, I always get an A. I just did the night before and I always get an A. Well, good for you, and you know, we'll see how that works. That may be fine, but you want a messy copy first. And just write down, what do you know about sustainability? Lay it aside. Then start. Make your claim. You make a claim advocating a specific change or course of action. Okay. Now, you're going to have a working thesis statement. That means that your thesis statement may change as you move along. You may change your mind. That's fine. Um, and if you do, you don't try to make your thesis statement. Um, Sometimes you don't want to make your paper fit your thesis statement. You go and write it through, have a working thesis statement, write your paper, and then come to the bottom and realize that's not what I first claimed. Don't try to rewrite the paper. Go back up and change your thesis statement. Here's a template. A template means something for you to follow. You know, citizens must teach non well, let's see, wait a minute. Citizens, because I'm trying to think of how you might want to work it. Citizens must teach others how to live a sustainable life. That doesn't sound right. Students, teenagers can teach others how to live a sustainable life, because without that, blah, blah, blah. Or you don't even have to say sustainable lifestyle. They must, citizens or the government must change the way people you get rid of their garbage, because hey, that's pretty simple. So it's your choice. So whoever you're talking about, you want them to do something. We, people of Earth, you know, Laurel Countyans, Somersetians. I don't think that's the right what you would call people who live in Somerset, but people in Somerset city limits have to demand free garbage collection, because remember sustainability. You have to figure out why, get that in there, okay? Um, so so this is your working thesis statement, and if you're making your notes, let's just pull up and then you would put that there, and you would write your own notes there. I've always wondered why they use that as a default when it drives me crazy. And then you put, no, still going to do it some one. And then you do step one. Then you look at step two. And this, remember, this is not your paper yet. This is your notes to write your paper. What exactly is the problem you want to address? Garbage disposal in Somerset. Okay. Who's most affected by it? People who can't afford to pay the trash collector. I don't know. People who have to look at dumps. I know there's no dumps in Somerset Town, the city limits, but let's just go with that. What causes the problem? Has anybody tried to do anything about it? Now, if you're doing a local issue, which is really a good way to go about this in your own county or town, you might want to call and you can do an interview. That was the only outside source that I'll let you use, okay? I had forgotten to say that. You can do an interview. You might want to call the judge executive or your city commissioner or someone with the environmental agency in your area and say, I'm writing a paper and my teacher's making me write a paper and I'm going to write about this. And has that ever been, anything ever been done to, for that problem, or what has been done? Well, it didn't work. Well, why not? I found people love to talk about what they do. So um, that's not going to make anybody upset. Now, if you do use a interview, I want you to go OWL, go to the OWL website and see how to cite and use the words for your works cited for an interview. And then you step the last one, what's likely to happen. So when you do this, let's go back up here and then you do step two, and maybe you want to go, put a bullet there, however you want to do it. Whoops, it's not what I wanted to do, I'll tell you that. That was not what I wanted to do. Maybe you want to do a bullet, and here's your bullet 1 and bullet 2 and whatever. You can write them down, you can type them. Here's your solution. This is the answer to the problem. I have a problem. Please help me with your solution. What do you want to achieve? A cleaner Laurel County. How's it going to work? Make it a law is not a solution. You can't just make a law. If you could, I'd be doing it. How will it work? You have to explain it. This may be a paragraph or more. What do you want to achieve? Cleanliness. When? Now. No, never mind. That's a chirp. If it needs money, how would you or they raise it? You can't say raising taxes because that would take an act of Congress. Neither Frankfurt nor Washington would go for that. When will it occur? And here's who will be involved. Maybe you want to get the high school seniors involved. Maybe you want to get church groups involved. Maybe you want to use the prisoners in the jail. I don't know. Why wouldn't it work? And once you do that, there's going to be criticisms no matter what people do, and you all know that. You try to do something, and somebody's going to knock you down. If you've ever tried to get a club or an activity or anything, because everybody knows more than you do, well, then what are your answers to them? What are other solutions by yours? Well, let's say there's another solution. Maybe we just don't do anything. Well, what's the advantages and disadvantages? Or maybe we're going to wait for a new administration to come into the county or a new EPA administrator or whatever. Just wait or whatever. Now, and then your last notes. I'm sorry, out of that, why is your solution better than this? Okay, those are, y'all have to have that. Now, it's feasible. That means how easy is it? It's really going to be easy to do. Why? It's really going to be hard to do. Why? Um, if you've ever tried to get anybody to volunteer to do work, you just about can't. But if you have people that believe in the same things you do, um, if you get enough people to volunteer, we could move the planet. But it's really hard to get them to volunteer uh, without pay. How do you propose to pay for it if you need money? Who will be most likely to reject your proposal because it's not practical enough? And then you have to convince. How can you convince your readers that your proposal can be achieved? Okay, that may be the hardest thing. What are you going to do? Now, one of the things that we haven't talked about will be is the way that you have state an argument. You can use pathos, logos, or ethos. This these three words means pity, commas kind of slow, logic, and ethics. So, what this means that how are you going to do? Are you going to use these three? This would mean, are you going to make them feel bad and feel sorry and for people or animals or children? Are you going to fix commercials like Save the Children? That very, very sad commercial they always show at Thanksgiving while we're eating the hugest amount of food that anybody can imagine, and you see little starving children. Or the one about the poor animals in the cages and the big chains bigger than the puppy. Oh, I have to turn those off, by the way. I can't even watch them. You're going to use that, or are you going to use logic? These are the statistics. This is what happens if you don't do it. This is right. I'll show you the proof. Or are you going to use ethics, ethos? This is the right way to do it because it's ethical, it's moral. So you could always also say moral. It's a moral thing to do, it's the right thing to do. So when you get these, you need to also go to Al. Look, how to use these skills. You will, if you go to Al and look these up, um, it will give you some examples and give you how to use these. So you need you're going and maybe you're give pathos and ethos, pity and ethics. It's the right thing to do because you don't want those little animals starving. Now that's on a different topic, of course. Now, then you have to know whom are you writing for? Are you? It, I don't know how many of you all are taking speech or communication classes, but speech writing and speaking in public is very similar to writing an argument, writing a paper. The only thing different, well, besides the basic, one's on paper, one's oral, but it's the idea of who your audience is when you're giving a speech. You can look out there. You know who you've advertised to. You know where you've advertised. You can tell how you are going to address those people. If you're talking to a church group, your language, your tone, your examples are going to be a lot different than if you're talking to the legislature. If you are giving a talk for the women's flower club, the garden club, it's going to be a lot different than you've been asked to give a speech to on the same topic. Now I'm talking about the same topic, on the same topic, to a group of first graders or even high schoolers, even college students. So you need to think, who is your audience? Because one way to really simplify the essay writing process is, who are you writing it to? Now, you all know you're writing it for me. I'm going to be the one that grades it. I'm going to be the one that so-called judges it, and I'm doing air quotes. Um, and you're really only worried about one person, and that's me liking it, but it really doesn't have to do anything about liking. It has to do with whether you do it correctly. So when I ask you who's your audience, you need to be able to tell me, based on your premise, who you're talking to. Whoops, I've got a. How interested will your readers be? Not been, because I did not proofread carefully, be in this problem. If they're really interested, you can really get them involved in it. If not so much, then you've got your work cut out for you. Does it affect them? I'll tell you, if you can figure out a problem, especially a local problem that affects your audience, then you have a ready-made volunteer army. And will it help them, indirectly or directly? Now, you've got all these written out, okay? All these up. This will be full of notes, or maybe you've done it in your journal or notebook. It doesn't matter unless I call to see it. And if I ask you to see your notes, then you'll either have to send them to me or you'll have to scan it to me. So, and that's not a problem. But I may, especially with your rough draft, really need to see your notes, because if you haven't answered these questions and the steps, then you're not going to be able to do a really good paper. It's time to, then after you do that, after all that, now you write your draft, your introduction, give some background. You can use a first person narrative here, or you can, and you don't have to do all of these. Then you've got your thesis statement. Then present your solution, because you've already put your problem up here and maybe a general idea of the solution. Then you present your solution. Then what's your goals? Many solutions cannot solve problems completely. If you're proposing a solution for juvenile crime in your neighborhood, for example, you cannot expect to eliminate all juvenile crime. So maybe you are trying to get rid of renewable energy use in rural areas of eastern Kentucky. That's a sustainable lifestyle. You won't be able to get rid of all fired coal-fired electric plants, sorry, or even gas-powered ones. It just won't happen. Not in our lifetimes. Uh, then each one of these is a section. Now that's not one paragraph. Maybe it is. Probably not. Then this may not be one paragraph. Then you do all this. So you're taking all your notes and then do your conclusion. So four pages, go to the other. At least complete complete 4 pages. And if you want to go over, don't go over 5 because I quit reading at 5. Okay. Now I'm going to close this up. No, I don't want to save it right now. Um, be careful about your grammar and punctuation. Let's see. And sometimes my computer, that's what I wanted. There's a problem with this. You may have already looked at it. It refers to, and you're more than welcome to, but I listen to it, and I really hate to listen to myself after I make these lectures. It refers to the St. Martin Handbook. We don't use the St. Martin Handbook anymore. We use OWL online. So if I refer to it, and I didn't really want to do it over, but if you will look up anything you don't understand in OWL, you can just type it in that search and you'll be able to find it. Okay. So, again, if you all have any questions, give me a call, give me an email, give me a discussion board question.